Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into one of the most incredible, yet common, miracles of human development. How does a tiny baby, who can't even sit up on its own, become a fluent speaker of a complex language in just a couple of years? It's something every single one of us did, but how on earth does it actually happen?
First, just get your head around this number, 14,000. That's how many words a typical 6-year-old knows. They go from nothing, to 14,000 words in the time it takes to learn to tie their shoes. It's a cognitive explosion that happens in every house and every language all over the world.
And this quote right here, it nails the central mystery. To us adults, it just looks like kids soak up language. It seems so effortless, so natural. But hiding underneath that easy-looking surface is one of the most complex mental feats a human being ever accomplishes. So the big question is, how do they pull it off?
Okay, so before we can figure out how a child learns language, we've got to take a step back and appreciate what language is. Because it's not just a big list of words, it's this incredibly complex, multi-layered puzzle. Let's take a look at the pieces every single child has to put together.
See, human language isn't just one thing. It's a seriously powerful system. Yeah, it's for communication, obviously, but it's also symbolic. The word apple stands for the actual fruit. It's governed by a strict set of rules we call grammar. And maybe the most magical part is that it's productive. That means with a limited number of words and rules, you can create and understand an infinite number of sentences you've never heard before.
To pull this all off, a child has to become a master of 4 different systems, all at the same time. They've got to get the pragmatic system down, the social rules, like taking turns when you talk. They need the phonological system to tell the difference between the p in pat and the b in bat. They need semantics to connect the word dog to that furry creature on the floor. And they need syntax, the grammar that puts those words in the right order to make sense.
All right, let's rewind all the way to the very beginning. Long before a baby says their first word, they're already learning. They're learning the fundamental music of their native language. And what's absolutely wild about this whole process is that it's universal. It doesn't matter if a baby's born in Tokyo, Toronto, or Timbuktu, they all go through these exact same stages. They start with just reflexive cries, then move to cooing, then to that classic repetitive babbling like ba ba ba, and finally, they start babbling in a way that actually mimics the rhythm and tone of a real conversation. It's like they're practicing before they even know any words.
And here's the cool part. It turns out we instinctively help them. You've definitely seen this, you've probably even done it yourself without thinking. That special way we talk to babies. It's called infant-directed speech, or motherese. That high-pitched, sing-songy voice, it's not just for being cute, it actually serves a critical scientific purpose. It exaggerates the sounds and the melody of speech, helping the baby's brain figure out where one word ends and the next one begins.
So once they've started to crack the code of sounds, kids begin to use their first real building blocks, words. And this is where things get really, really interesting.
This is the next giant leap. A child starts off with single words, where hot can mean a whole sentence, like that thing is hot and I don't want to touch it. But then they graduate to the 2-word period, this hot. It might not sound like much, but it represents a massive cognitive jump. They're not just labeling something anymore, they're describing a relationship between 2 ideas, the this and the hot.
Okay, now listen to this. It's a real quote from a 3-year-old. The child touches something hot and says, "Ow, I burned my hand. I burned my hand." Now pay very close attention to that one little word, burned, not burned or burnt. Why is that one little mistake so important?
Because that single word unlocks the whole secret of how kids learn language. It's a beautiful little mistake called over-regularization. The child has almost certainly never heard an adult say burned. This is proof, absolute proof, that they are not just parrots mimicking what they hear. No, their brilliant little brain has figured out a rule in English. To talk about the past, you add ed to a verb, and they apply that rule everywhere. This mistake is actually the best evidence we have that children are actively building a system of grammar in their own minds.
So, this incredible rule-finding ability, it forces us to ask the biggest question of all. Where does this come from? Are children born with a kind of blueprint for language already inside them, or do they figure it all out from scratch?
And this, of course, is the classic nature versus nurture debate. For decades, it's pretty much defined the field. On one side, you've got thinkers like Chomsky and Pinker. They argue we're born with an innate universal grammar. Think of it like a pre-installed operating system for language. On the other side, you have folks like Tomasello, who argue that language is built from the ground up, using general learning skills and a whole lot of social interaction.
So, who's right? Is it all in our genes, or is it all in our environment? Well, as science has gotten more sophisticated, the answer isn't a simple choice between one or the other. Instead, we've arrived at a much more interesting conclusion.
Yeah, the crucial takeaway here is that it's not an either-or fight. The modern view is that you need all three. You need that innate blueprint, the universal grammar, you absolutely need rich experience and input from the world, and you need the general-purpose cognitive tools to process all that information. It's a dynamic dance between nature and nurture.
The linguist Steven Pinker makes a really powerful case that language is a biological adaptation, just like having opposable thumbs is an adaptation. And the evidence is pretty convincing. Right language is found in every single human culture, no exceptions. All languages, deep down, share a fundamental design. All kids, like we saw, go through the same stages. And maybe the most amazing piece of evidence, if you put a bunch of kids together who don't share a language, they will literally invent a new one.
And this leaves us with one last, really powerful question to chew on. We know kids need experience. They have to hear language to learn it. But if experience was all that mattered, why can't we teach our pets, or even our closest animal relatives like chimpanzees, to truly talk? The fact that any healthy human child can do what no other animal on Earth can, well, it points to some unique, inborn spark, a biological gift that makes us, fundamentally, the talking ape.